You know, Kristan, sometimes when I'm speaking to people about the issue of abortion, they bring up a difficult scenario that can be hard to handle in conversation, and that's the instance of an ectopic pregnancy. Now, as I understand it, an ectopic pregnancy is when after conception, the embryo blastocyst actually attaches to the woman's fallopian tube instead of attaching to the uterine wall, which is, of course, problematic. And I'll pause here for a second at the beginning of this video and just hand the mic over to you. Can you explain why ectopic pregnancies are so difficult and what they might mean for conversations about abortion?
Sure. When you're talking about ectopic pregnancy, you have to understand this is a deadly situation where the mother will die if her fallopian tube ruptures and she bleeds out. And because of our medical technology, there is no way we can actually save the life of the child. So I think we need to back that conversation up when we're engaging in this. But I think the number one thing we have to be thinking about, and when we're talking about these issues of these extenuating circumstances, these very rare circumstances that account for less than 1% of why women say they have abortions, is we need to ask ourselves what the intention was.
Yeah.
With elective abortion, someone is choosing that someone else must die and pays somebody to end their life. The result and the intention of an elective abortion is always death of a preborn living human being. That's the intention. And if an abortionist fails at doing that, they failed in their job. When we're talking about these situations, whether it's ectopic pregnancy or another situation where a mother's life is at risk, the intention is to preserve life. The intention is to save life. The doctor, the OBGYN, the emergency room physician has two patients. Their job is to preserve both lives. And if they can't preserve both lives, to ensure that at least one life lives.
Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense to me, that whenever a doctor is assisting a woman as she's going through her pregnancy, the intention ordinarily is to preserve both the mother's life and the life of the unborn child. But there are some situations in which that isn't possible. In the case of an ectopic pregnancy, for example, just like you said, as I understand it, it is either the case that both the mother and the child will die, or as a result of an intention to save the life of the mother,
That's right.
the child will die.
That's right.
There's no way that both of them are going to survive. That being the case, the intent argument here really makes a lot of sense. So if somebody came up to me and said, what's the difference, or came up to you, Kristan, and said, what's the difference between an abortion and saving the life of a mother in an ectopic pregnancy? Both result in the death of an unborn child. What's the difference between those two things? And you would respond, how, Kristan? Intention, just plain and simple.
It's intention. What was the physician's intent? Was the physician's intent to end life? And we know from pro-life OBGYNs, Dr. Brent Boyles, he serves on Heartbeat International's board. He testifies, in state houses that he's helped over 30,000 women deliver children. Many of his patients have been high risk, and none of these circumstances has he ever had to intentionally end the life of another human being, of the child, in order to save the woman's life. Sometimes the child may die, but the intention was never, I'm going to go in and end the woman's life. I mean, we hear this sometimes for justification for late-term abortion. We'll hear, no one wants to have late-term abortion. The only reason we have late-term abortion is in these extenuating circumstances when her life's at risk or the child will die. One, that is factually incorrect. States here in Colorado, New Mexico, you can have a late-term abortion up until the 9th month of pregnancy for whatever reason, because you can say it's your mental health that will be affected by having a child. Two, just think about what you're saying when you say that, because how you do late-term abortions is you inject a drug into the child to cause cardiac arrest, a heart attack, and then you let the child die slowly for 2 days before you deliver a child. If a woman's life is at risk, you would not wait 3 days and put her in additional harm, because that type of abortion carries a lot of risks for women. You would simply say, you can no longer be pregnant. Being pregnant is putting your life at risk. We're going to deliver the child.
Wow.
And we're going to do everything possible to save the life of the child. That's the difference between an abortionist and a doctor who's trying to save life.
Right. So the default position of the doctor should always be, whenever possible, to save the life of both the mother, to cultivate the life of both the mother and the unborn child. And it's only in these very rare circumstances, extremely early in pregnancy, where it's sometimes not possible to do both. And how horrible to use this difficult circumstance, the circumstance of an ectopic pregnancy, to justify something like late-term abortion.
That's right.
Especially when you have a baby, third trimester, who could survive outside the mother's womb and have survived outside the mother's womb. I have a friend who survived after being born at 24 weeks. And we use the situation, rather people on the other side use the situation of an ectopic pregnancy to justify abortions.
I mean, that's callousness. I can't think of anything more callous than to use this life-threatening circumstance, the pain of ectopic pregnancy, or what they're doing now, the pain of a natural miscarriage, which, medical terms, it's called a spontaneous abortion, to then justify all abortions, or to tell women, well, if you've had a miscarriage, you've had abortion, so you're part of us, you can't be against abortion. That's exactly what's happening right now. And I think we need to back it up, and we need to have a calm conversation about intention, and we need to define our terms and what's actually going on. And I think we also have to remind people there's no pro-life law that's being introduced at state houses that does not allow a physician to save the life of the mother.
Thank you for saying that. I think that's very, very important. So many things that you've said here in this video, Kristan, I think just clarifies what is a very chaotic and, unfortunately, from the other side, a very manipulated set of circumstances. Thank you for bringing truth into the chaos, and for all of the wonderful work that you and your colleagues do at Students for Life. We at Focus are happy to stand alongside you as we both work together to build a culture of life in the post-Roe America.
That's right.
Thank you, and God bless.